It's a new dawn, a new day, a new life, a new Vegas. No matter how the chips fall, Just Bleed Radio is always here to help you cover your debts, albeit at a minimum 10% interest fee. House rules, baby. Grab your suitcases because we're off to Sin City. This is the UFC 326 Preview Show presented by JBR.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are Just Bleed Radio, and this is the Preview Show! Hey! Oh! It's bleeding time! Ladies.
Whoops. Okay, well, it's Max Holloway Fight Week, motherfuckers. And ring the bells, sound the horns, put the champagne on ice, because that's about as much excitement as you're going to get out of me. Yes, my favorite fighter is Max Holloway, and yes, he throws it down this Saturday, but my vibes are not the highest. My THC levels, however, yeah, that's another story. Anyways, I'm LazyBed, 1/4 of the human component of Just Bleed Radio, along with our man behind the curtain, Dave Sanding, and these two other jamokes that I'm about to introduce right now. A jamoke number one, it's a bird, it's a plane, it's a Californian pest controller who puts back proper pints, Pilsner, Pale Ale, or pure jet fuel. He rips through the rot gut like Brock Lesnar's diverticulitis. Big dog, no special. Say hello.
What's up, man? Hey, this is impromptu, so we're having a good time doing it. We're gonna figure it out as we go. Let's go! The fucking fight week, yeah!
Yeah, behind the scenes, your boy LazyBed here was a bit panicked and perturbed as we led into this, but we're gonna do it nonetheless. We're absolutely winging this, so let's fucking go. And let's go to jamoke number two. Hickory dickory dock, the mouse took a look at the clock. The hand struck 4:20. He pulled out his money and bought a big sack off the top shelf. He's a joker, a smoker, a midnight toker. The mouse in the house. Say what's up, DM.
I love that intro, Lazy. Hi, guys. Hi to the chat. A couple of people in there. I'm sure we'll get to those in a moment. Yeah, we finally got here. Yeah. I have alcohol ready and loaded, so yeah, let's go.
It took us quite a while to coordinate our 3 different time zones of 3 different parts of the world, but we did manage to do it, and we are here now. So yeah, shout out to. Go ahead.
I keep telling Austin he needs to move east, but he won't listen to me.
I said, fuck you.
I'm sure he would love for us to move west if he had it his way. But yeah, shout out to the people that did show up thus far in the chat. We got our guy Octo in the house, Octopus with no friends. What's happening, brother? Always good to see you. And we always got our boy Rob Thomas, always in the building. My Ohio brother, what is happening, Big Rob? Good to see you, player. All right, so really get started here, folks. Don't forget to give us a like and a subscribe if you just found us. Also, I would be remiss if I failed to mention the official JBR Tapology League, open to the public. It is the place to be if you want a chance to kick all of our asses and earn weekly bragging rights simply by submitting your predictions for the fights. The link is in the episode description, so check it out. And while you're in there, hit us up on Twitter and give us a follow on there too. We barely got any fucking Twitter followers, so we really need some. So check us out on the old Tweety Bird. All right, guys, we are going to go ahead and just start, and we're going to start today with the main card. We might get to some prelims after the fact, but we'll see how it goes. So starting today with the main card, and we'll begin with the main card opener. And for that, we will begin in the middleweight division for what is actually a rematch. The UFC loves the middleweight division, and they love themselves a rematch, so this fits right up both those alleys. It's the rebooked pairing of 2 Brazilian donks, renowned for willingness to get punched in the face, Gregory RoboCop Rodriguez and Bruno the Hulk Fajeda. Missed my spot there. Okay, these two originally met 3 years ago in what was Fajeda's UFC debut. It was the fight that initially drew fans' eyes to the Hulk as he soundly slept old Greg with a counter left. Since then, both men have had solid runs in the promotion, each going 4-1 in their last 5 fights respectively. Many similarities in this one. They both last competed within 1 month of each other last year, and they are roughly the same age. And despite the size disparity, both these men are supposedly BJJ practitioners who seemingly prefer throwing hands. So a lot of similarities between the two of these guys. We'll pass it to Austin first to kick off the festivities today. Give us your rundown of how this fight plays out and tell us who you think wins and how they do it.
Well, my gut tells me it should be Fajeda, mainly because he's kind of been that true to form kind of little bowling ball of the division, if you will, like a true Kelvin Gastelum. He's short for the weight class, but he is not small by any means. Like he's kind of like a little like orc, if I'm being honest. He's got these ridiculously long arms, and he's just a tank of a dude. And he just kind of goes in there, and he's a true get got, just like his opponent Gregory Rodriguez. And if I'm gonna be honest, man, I still want to side with not Hobocop, but Freda, but only because they've been fairly similar. Although you can argue Hobocop Rodriguez has basically been fighting the higher caliber of opponents on a regular basis as of late. And I don't know if Fajeda can do that yet still. I mean, you said they're the same age, although one of them looks like he's 45. I don't know about that.
Minimally.
But it's kind of a coin flip. I could be extremely wrong on this one, and I could see Hobocop getting a first round finish in the opposite direction, just getting a first round knockout in his own right instead of Fajeda. But I don't know. I'm gonna be honest. If it's me, I'm gonna pick Fajeda just because he managed to do it the last time, and it's not like Hobocop doesn't know how to like get clipped and go out, fairly simply. But I gotta go with Fajeda on this one.
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry about that. I'm trying to fucking deal with some of these back end issues. I can't get the fucking tail of the tape up. Dave made these fucking beautiful graphics for us. I can't get my fucking tablet to fucking scroll. Live streaming from a tablet is a stupid idea. You're an idiot, LazyBed. Idiot. Yeah. So because of that, Austin, I didn't even really hear what the fuck you said, but I'm gonna take your word for it. I bet you had a great breakdown.
Yes, very much so. Yes,
I'm sure you did. I know you did. I know you very well. And DangerMouse, I know you very well too. And you're gonna go second here because I still need a little bit more time to stall. So, Mouse, middleweight men in a middle-aged matchup. Who wins, RoboCop or the Hulk, and how do they get it done?
Yeah, this is an interesting fight for sure. I don't have the memory for fighters or fights that Austin has, certainly. So I tend to look at stats and various other bits and pieces when I'm choosing fighters. And looking at this one, RoboCop versus the Hulk. If you look on Tapology, RoboCop is the slight favorite at minus 190, 165 plus 165 Bruno Ferreira. Underdog. I did look at some other stuff on there. What am I saying here now? G-Rod, sorry, yeah, I guess.
Both are real people, but yeah.
He lands more strikes, and he actually has a positive striking differential, which the Hulk does not have. It's only slightly negative, plus strikes landed 3.85 versus 3.99 absorbed, but nonetheless, that's still a negative striking differential. Takedowns, again, RoboCop is slightly ahead on those, 1.93 versus 1.29. Neither of them is great on that. I think this is going to be a stand and bang fight. I don't think there's going to be much taking down on it. The Tapology teams are all kind of suspecting that Rodriguez is going to get the win here. They're hovering at 75%, think that G-Rod is going to get this win. And I would tend to agree with them. I think he's going to pull this one out. As Austin said, he has been fighting the better quality opponents in recent times. He's got heavy hands. I think he has a slightly. Let me just check the average fight time. Yeah, he has a slightly longer average fight time, but that's unsurprising, I guess, with Ferreira's amount of KOs on submission. Has he had quite a few submissions as well? Am I thinking of the right guy? I've looked at so many fighters recently. Whichever, anyway. I think I think Rodriguez is probably going to get this one done inside the first 2 rounds. I can't say any more accurately than that. So yeah, I think probably a KO inside the first 2 rounds.
Yeah, that makes
so
sense.
That's both of you on the Hulk then, right? Or I mean, excuse me, both of you on RoboCop, rather.
No, I'm on the Hulk.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's why I was suddenly so happy with my pick on Rodriguez, because Austin was picking the Hulk.
So I'm the tiebreaker here because technically we're split right now.
Yeah.
Interesting. And to touch on what you said, DangerMouse, the Hulk does have 5 career submissions, so yeah, kind of, a little bit. Yeah, I hate going third here because I'm gonna have to talk again after this, but I screwed myself and put myself in this situation with my fuck ups. And I'm sorry, Dave, once again, I'm really sorry. I wish I could get those graphics up there, those beautiful, wonderful fight graphics, but I just can't. I can't manage it here, and I wish you were listening to us and you could hop on your PC and take over this shit because I'm struggling here, pal. I'm really struggling. But yeah, to talk about the fight itself, yeah, I can see why you guys are kind of split because on one hand, you got a result that this fight already took place, albeit several years back, and the result was emphatic on behalf of Bruno the Hulk Fajeda, putting away old Greg. But since then, old Greg has gone on a nice little run. He has taken on some pretty tough, stiff competition. Some of the better names in the division. He's clearly the more physically imposing guy. He does have a 3-inch reach advantage, several inches in height as well. Looks like Barack Obama on steroids, which is a very imposing character to have stand across the cage from you. Everyone remembers when he had his forehead split wide open and he had that third eyeball and a giant just flappy gash in his head and he kept going. So he's a tough son of a bitch.
Cheaty against Cheaty.
Yep, exactly. And Cheaty, who's brother is about to be competing in a regional MMA soon. Anyway, yeah, so tough son of a bitch, and then a guy that can really crack, a guy who proved he has the power to put the bigger, taller, more imposing figure away. Why can't he do it again? I don't see why he couldn't. Has Greg really leveled up that much since the last time they met? I don't think so. I think he kind of fights the same way. I think he's got the same level of technique and same sort of fight IQ. So I don't know that the result is going to be exactly identical. I'm not sure lightning strikes twice, same place. But I will say that I think Bruno the Hulk Fajeda takes this fight. I think he probably wins a decision. So that's going to be my choice. I'm going to go with the Hulk by decision.
That's risky. I don't know if I'd do a decision. This fight's definitely not making it out of the first round.
I think if we're going to be surprised, I think it's going to be one of those ones where we're so expectant upon a finish, we don't get the finish. It's been happening a lot lately. It's been occurring quite a bit.
That's true. This is true. Yeah.
Right. Well, I'm more than willing to be wrong, so we'll find out. Anyway. All right, and the second fight, guys, for us to get onto today, actually the second fight of what would be the pay-per-view portion of the night, still is, depending on where you are in the world. We continue the theme of MMA elder statesmen, these ones at 155 pounds. 37-year-old Andrew Dober, with a jaw like Quagmire, is set to make the walk for his 26th UFC fight. That's 26. And it will go down on Saturday night. Now approaching 13 years fighting for the promotion, he has compiled a 14-11 record under the UFC banner with wins over Nasrat Haqparast, Alex Hernandez, and Terex McKinney. His opponent is the 39-year-old Michael Johnson, a man with the ability to kill anyone or die bravely on any given night. He'll enter the octagon against Dober for what will be his 32nd UFC contest. The menace is quickly reaching his 15th year in the company, where he's amassed a very Angela Hill-esque 16-15 record under the UFC banner. Throughout that time, he has secured dubs over names the likes of Tony Ferguson, Edson Barbosa, and Dustin Poirier. And although they are similarly aged and similarly experienced, their recent runs have seen them take dissimilar paths. Johnson is 4-1 in his last 5. Dober, unfortunately, 2-3. The return of racially motivated Dober, an unsavory but accurate statistic. Drew has a very strong track record when meeting melanated men in a cage. So to make of that what you will, make of that what you will. I'm not casting any judgments or aspersions on Mr. Dober, but could that forecast doom for MJ? What do you think, DangerMouse? Who's going to be the winner in this one, and what is the method of victory for this?
This one is probably the worst fight of the night to pick. It's not going to be the worst fight of the night, I don't think. It might very well be the fight of the night. Who knows? Michael Johnson has pulled a few out, and certainly Drew Dober can. And as you mentioned, the melanated incidents, that is just a statistical fact with Drew Dober. He tends to beat more black guys than he does white guys. Make of that what you will, I guess.
Exactly. Yes.
God damn it.
Yeah. It's true. Look at his record. I saw a little short on it today, and it was playing through all the people. But nonetheless, I'll divert from that immediately, I guess. Too late, I guess. Reach-wise, there's not much difference between these two. The thing I noticed was they're both southpaws. So I did try and do a little bit of research on that. And Michael Johnson, I think, has fought a few more southpaws than Drew Dober has, but neither of them's hugely experienced. The thing is that Johnson has got the wins over Poirier and I forget the other one. Yes, another very well-known southpaw as well. Oh, Edson Barbosa, I think.
Yep.
Yeah. Got to look at me.
What's the height? What's the height difference on them?
The height, 2 inches.
Oh wow! I for some reason I thought Michael Johnson was taller and longer because you tripped me up when you said they got the same reach advantage. I was like, oh, okay, interesting.
He's 2 inches taller, 3-inch reach advantage.
Okay, I was just tripping. Okay, never mind.
But yeah, otherwise they're again fairly similar fighters. Strikes landed 4.5 for Dober, 4.2 for Johnson, absorbed 4.34 for Dober, 3.79, so a slightly better striking differential for Johnson. And yeah, it's not going to be a grappling match. These guys don't tend to bother with very many takedowns over 15 minutes. I guess you might get the occasional trip or something up against the cage. Again, looking at Tapology odds, it's minus 160 for Johnson, plus 135, so the slight underdog for Dober. And if you're looking at the numbers here, I haven't refreshed this page from when I checked it a few days back, but the fans on Tapology have this one at 50-50.
Wow.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. With 85% of them thinking if Dober wins, it will be by KO. Which is probably accurate. That's kind of how I see this going. Either Drew Dober will get it done in the first round, or the very first, maybe the first minute of the second, or Johnson will take it to a decision and probably get the win that way, winning the second and third rounds. So I don't really have a prediction for this one at the moment.
No, come on, pick. Just a lean.
I will go my way that I always go. Then when I'm really not sure in a close fight, I'll pick the favorite, and that means I will go for Michael the Menace Johnson.
That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a pretty wise choice. I think that's a good choice because I was surprised when you said the Tapology odds were dead even like that because these guys aren't exactly on very identical trajectories at this point in their careers. In fact, it's sort of the opposite. Drew is very clearly slipping and losing a step, whereas Michael Johnson still seems to be that same guy. Like I was saying in the intro, he could really beat anyone or lose to anyone on any given Saturday night. He's just got that skill set similar to a Bobby Green that you think every time he comes out, this is going to be the fight. This is going to be the one where he's lost a step. He's not quite as quick as he used to be. The reactionary tactics that he uses fail him. He's going to get caught. But they keep surprising us. They keep showing us that, like, despite the age, despite Father Time creeping upon him, they're still lightning quick. They can still crack, and they're not exactly, they're smarter now than they ever were. So to be able to still compete the way they always did, which it's not the highest level, like a Bobby Green or a Michael Johnson. I'm comparing these two guys because of similar styles. It's not like they're going to ever really accomplish a ton, but they're more than good enough and more than serviceable enough to get it done on any given night, like I've been saying. So I think with the fact that Michael Johnson has been on the run that he's been on, the confidence is on his side, the momentum seemingly is on his side as well, and still having that speed and that, the unpredictability of his technique that he has. I really think that he's going to be a bit too much for Drew. I think he's just going to be a step ahead throughout the majority of the fight, and I could see him probably putting Drew away. I mean,
It's possible.
He's there to be hit anymore.
Well, of the fans on Tapology who do think Johnson, they have him by 62.6% by KO/TKO.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of see a similar situation to the fight that Drew had with Jean Silva, where you can catch Drew and you can deviate him from his own game, and then you could just kind of landslide and pile it on him. Now Silva's got a bit more pop, I would say, despite being a featherweight, than Johnson does, but I think Johnson could follow a similar path to victory. So yeah, I'm gonna probably take Michael Johnson, and just to be a little bit different than a first rounder, I'll go Michael Johnson's second round TKO. That'll be my choice. Why not? Fuck it. Okay, and that leaves us with you, Austin. So, Austin, if you put Michael Johnson in an octagon with Godzilla and you have them fight 5 consecutive bouts, or excuse me, if you have them fight even 2 consecutive bouts, the Menace is winning at least one of those. If you put Michael Johnson in an octagon with a bunny rabbit and you have them fight consecutive bouts, the Menace is somehow losing at least one of those. So he's just that kind of guy. That's how he is. That's how he fights. You never know what you're going to get. But when he does enter the UFC octagon on Saturday night, who do you think wins, and how do you think they get it done, Austin?
Like we've been saying, I think I'm gonna lean Johnson, and I think it's gonna be via like a decision, a scrappy decision. I mean, if he didn't knock out Zellhuber when he fought him, I don't think he's gonna knock out Dober. I think he doesn't have his fastball like he used to, but he's just well rounded. I mean, hell, you saw what Bobby Green did to Zellhuber, and Bobby Green is pretty much the same age, and it comes down to this concept of is Dober kind of not done being a decent fighter? Is he done being a capable fighter and finding his ability to get the finish against other fighters of his, level? Because I think he struggled with elite fighters like Johnson had, but Johnson's on a rebound. I don't know if he's going to get the title shot anytime soon, but he's looking good, looking capable. He's a little older, but he's looking like he's trying to go out on his terms, which is nice to see. Not many fighters get to do that, and I don't know if he will or will not succeed in that endeavor. But I gotta think that he's got at least enough left in the gas tank to get past Dober. I'm not gonna pick him to get a finish because I don't think he necessarily needs one. He's just gonna go out there, do his game plan. Dober's gonna play his same tactical, brawling, sprawling style a little bit. And it's not like he's not capable of finding a button on Michael Johnson. People have found it, and not too dissimilarly from other fighters. But I do believe that Johnson's gonna just find his rhythm. He's on a run. It would have been nice to have seen what he looked like against Hernandez, because that's probably the closest to this matchup that we would have seen, but especially in this division. But I think Dover's probably just going to get outpointed and just lose by a confident dominant but skillful decision to the Menace. And we'll see him go. Was it 3 or 4 or 5 now in a row? I think it's 4. No, 5. Right? No,
it
4.
would be 5. It would be 5.
Okay, okay. There it is. Okay, yeah.
Five,
yeah. So
five.
Sorry, one of the two. I got the Menace by decision. I'll say that.
Fair choice. So that's all of us on Michael Johnson, even though DangerMouse did it, hesitantly because he wasn't ready to make the pick. But
Watch him fucking lose now.
Yeah, Dober's gonna go out there and
Yet
completely
change my mind.
chin
You
him.
never know before the weekend.
Come on.
Four in a row, by the way, for Johnson. I did tell you, but I was muted, so technical.
You're good. You're good. You're good.
All right. Well, again, shout out to everybody in the chat. We see all in there. We see John Ray, Verted Dingo. Everybody showing up, showing out. Good to have you guys in the chat. Happy to have you guys.
Cheers, guys.
All right, let's keep this thing going, though. Let's keep it going because we got several more fights to discuss on this main card. We've discussed 2 fights where 4 older men intend to spend 15 minutes apiece pummeling one another in their underpants. Now let's discuss one with shades of St. James and echoes of Epstein. Ugh, disgusting. Switch your categories. Switch your categories on Punch Hub to old and young. It's a fight the UFC was bound and determined to make, so much so that they rebooked it after it fell apart last year. 21-year-old bone-smashing twink Raul Rosas Jr. and 38-year-old New England masshole Rob Font. The Chihuahua child, Raul Rosas, just a mere boy, is still developing his fighting skills and his frontal cortex. Since coming into the UFC in 2022, he has gone 5-1 with his lone loss at the hands of Christian Rodriguez. Hey, there's the C-Rod you were looking for earlier, DangerMouse. But he is riding 4 W's in a row, and he'll be tackling his toughest test since senior algebra when he meets his op at 326. Mr. Font, aka the Wingdings Wendigo, the Comic Sans combatant, or the Times New Roman gladiator. I could do this all day long. Mr. Font is a known commodity of the bantamweight division. He has racked up 12 wins and 8 losses in his 20 prior UFC bouts, 20 bouts. Though lately times have been tough. He sits at 2-3 in his last 5, with his most recent outing a loss to David Martinez last September. Austin. Typically, when the UFC has a fight booked that falls apart and they make multiple efforts to keep the matchup together, they've got a bit of an agenda. There's something they like about the pairing. So why don't you tell us who you think wins this fight, and maybe what is it that the UFC matchmakers like about this pairing?
Well, first I'll say the pairing is essentially a company man versus a up-and-comer, possible star for the division, especially for a specific market. Now, the other part is the company man has virtually fought a majority of the top 10, which is insane because you don't usually get that, especially in some of the lighter divisions, because it's hard. You also have his resume of fighting contenders that are also prospects. Like, he's had his fair share. You can see that. A handful of times he's also knocked them back. He's I want to say what, 38, 30. Is he 38, Lazy?
Yep, 38
38 years, 8 months, 1 week, 3 days.
That is right.
If this was the Rob Font of like 3 years ago, I think he'd handle Rosas. I think he's just honestly just going to get out wrestled and out physically grappled on the mat. And I don't think he has much way of combating that, because it seems that's his Achilles heel. Not because he's a bad grappler, but because he just doesn't have the consistency with counter grappling to, complement his striking. He's never really had that. He's usually a stand and bang type of guy. Really good boxing, decent kickboxing, knows how to just kind of trick younger dudes into kind of fighting his style. And more often than not, like, you've seen him struggle with better strikers, and you've seen him struggle with better grapplers. And it's no wonder why they have this booked, because Rosas is not going to strike with him. That'd be insane. He'd be a madman if he was going to do that. But there is a possibility that Rosas finds himself, catching, Font and just at the perfect time, he just finds a submission. That's going to be my pick, and I don't believe it's not going to be a difficult fight for Rosas. I think it's just going to be a one where he's going to wait. He's going to try to do some dumb stuff. He's going to get caught. He's going to get clipped, and then he's going to find the grappling in his favor. The minute he does, he's not going to let go of it. And once he finds his momentum, he'll just keep running downhill at Rob Font until he finds the submission in the third round. I don't think it's going to be extremely one-sided, but I think the minute he figures out I have to wrestle him, whether that be at the beginning of the fight or the midway point or at the end, it'll be his fight. And it's Rosas' fight to lose, and I think he's not going to lose it, especially if he finds the finish. And I think he's going to find the third round finish.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with you, and I liked your assessment there of why they're so dead set on having this fight. I think it's pretty clear they think that this is a relatively easy stepping stone for Raul Rosas Jr. I don't know if that's necessarily true. Certainly not true in the stand-up realm. If this thing stays on the feet for any extended period of time, and Rosas is not able to get this fight to the ground, or not able to at least close the distance and smash that space between him and Font, I think it could get real dicey for him real quick. We all sort of know that and figure that, that's a given almost with anyone that Rosas fights. His stand-up, is pretty well atrocious.
Yeah. It's not pretty.
Really, yeah, it's up there with some of the worst in the UFC. But
it's hard to tell, to be fair, because I'm looking at his stats. His strikes landed per minute is 1.51. So
it's barely anything
that's grounded.
I
think that's ground and pound too.
Yeah, that must include that.
So more or less, we've seen very little of his stand-up, and from what we have seen of it, it is very bad. So, of course, that issue arises, should it stay on the feet. But I do have a feeling that the matchmakers, Raul Rosas, and even Rob Font all know that's probably not going to be the case. Rosas is going to close the distance. He's going to get his hands on Font at some point or another. He's going to drag this thing down to the canvas, and he's going to suffocate him. It could happen early because, as we know, submissions are easier, at least chokes and things of that nature are easier to accomplish in the first before everything is sweaty and potentially bloody and But I could see it very well being, like Austin said, a third rounder where he's kind of worn Rob down for 2 rounds, sapped sort of the will to fight out of him. And even an old dog gets sick and tired of fucking being in there. No matter how many times you've been in a 3-round or even 5-round war, you got a guy dragging on you and wearing on you and leaning on you and draping his body weight on you. You're going to get sick of it. He's going to give up a neck, and he's probably going to get tapped. So, yeah, I'll take Rosas by submission as well. I won't say which round, but I'll take Rosas submission. So that leaves just you, DangerMouse, and Austin said it. Rob does like to chase after the younger men, very Epstein-esque when he's in there in the cage with him, very Epstein. Chasing those young boys. There's a 17-year age gap between these two. Rob Font, he could have fathered and raised a junior in high school in the time between him becoming an adult and Raul Rosas being born. So huge age gap. Does the age gap favor the seasoned vet or the youthful upstart? What do you think, Mouse?
I am not the biggest fan of Paul Rosas Jr. He can suck my chewy-wees for all I fucking care. Whatever that fucking means, I really don't know. I really don't. I find him really, really annoying. He was hyped as the kind of young prospect, and then he got, I forget who it was who laid him out, but somebody knocked him out, didn't they?
No, he didn't get knocked out. He just got beat because the other dude missed weight. It was Christian Rodriguez. He has kind of struggled as a featherweight now lately.
No, okay.
C-Rod, not G-Rod.
Yes.
My apologies, and Paul Rosas. You didn't get KO'd. I just wish you had, obviously. Rob, as you've already said, Rob Font has all the striking advantages. He's got the 4-inch reach advantage, lands 5.36 strikes per minute versus that, as I said, 1.51. Only takes 3.7. Very nice, positive striking differential there for him. It's going to come down to takedowns, and obviously Rob Font, not that well known for it, gets roughly about 1 per 15-minute fight. whereas Rosas gets 4 per 15-minute fights. That's so over 1 per round. His accuracy isn't great, 41%, but if he has 4, then he's probably going to get you to the ground at some point. And as these guys have said, he might be able to get this submission. He does average 1 per 15-minute fight. But he hasn't had one in the last couple of fights, probably because he's fighting guys who aren't off the regional circuit anymore. You know, these are genuine UFC quality fighters. And I would imagine that Rob Font, with his 38 years of experience, is probably not going to get submitted by Paul Rosas Jr. But I do think we're going to get a very, very fucking boring snuggle for 15 minutes for the fight. So yeah, a boring decision win for Rosas Jr.
You know what? I did not think about that.
Struggle snuggle. That's pretty good. I'm a fan of that.
But Chihuahuas for the win.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think you'll win, but
yeah. I mean, much like Dingo says here, I would very much so love to see Rob Font absolutely chin Raul Rosas. I wouldn't mind that whatsoever. Like,
oh, absolutely.
I had my fun with the Chi Wee Wee's catchphrase, but since then, you know, things have just kind of fizzled out. Yeah, it is what it is.
Love to hear it.
His sister actually fights in MMA. She had a fight not too long ago in Lux Fight League. I believe she's a couple years older than him, like a few years.
She has to be.
Yeah, pretty sure, because he's still only 21. Well, we'll see how that Epstein-esque fight goes. We'll find out. All right, boys. Well, guys, we got only 2 more left to go, and that means that it is co-main event time. Back to the middleweight division for this one, but this time with 2 ranked 185ers. That's number 7 ranked former Team Lazy member Kyle Bohayo and number 8 ranked current Team Dave member Rainier DeRitter. First, we will look at Bohayo. He is 33 years old, 17-2. That's 7-1 in the UFC. He is 4-1 in his last 5, with the lone loss being his most recent bout, where he dropped a decision to Nasruddin Imavov this past September. A quick glance at DeRitter, 35 years old, 21-3. That's 4-1 in the UFC, and he is also an identical 4-1 in his last 5, with a lone bizarre loss against Brendan Allen this past October. That was the fight where his corner threw the towel in, or however it went down. He was out of shape and he couldn't compete, and he basically gave up. They called it a retirement on Tapology. So, yeah, it was tough scenes for RDR after that, and it kind of maybe soured a lot of the fan base on him, or at least a lot of bettors. It'd be interesting to see how the betting goes this time around at the ticket window. Though it is slow going at middleweight with the champ Chimaev playing his usual game of hide and seek, this matchup does have obvious title implications, at least to an extent, and it will be a needed bounce back for one of these 2 guys.
Allegedly Chimaev allegedly in training with one of my draft picks by Senghor Susukev, because I was doing a little research to see if I could find out if he had a fight booked. And apparently he has been training with Hamzat. So,
yeah, I'd actually heard he's here stateside training in the States.
Oh, yeah.
We'll see where that leads. But anyway,
camp, so.
Yeah. So here's the question, guys. Do we pick with the logic in our minds or the competitiveness in our loins? One of these fellas represents an opportunity for Dave and Chaudhry to rack up fantasy points. Danger, we're going to you first. You got the first stab at it. Let's hear your breakdown and prediction for the co-main.
Yeah, this is another, at first glance, certainly seems to be a difficult one to pick. As you said, they both coming in off a loss. There's a couple of years of age difference. RDR's 35, so, and the older fighter by a couple of years there. Bit of height difference that favors RDR as well. 6'4" versus 6'1", 3-inch reach advantage, 78 versus 75. But having said all that, just having a quick look at the UFC stats for these guys. Both southpaws again, which could make a difference. I haven't checked to see how many southpaws these guys have fought. probably a few each, I would imagine. Kai Brow, the busier striker, lands more, as the better striking differential, as I've gone about so much. Only averages just over one takedown per 15 minutes. RDR, obviously, with his jiu-jitsu background, likes to go for those takedowns a bit more. Although he's not supremely good at them, like a lot of jiu-jitsu guys. Yeah, and I know that one of our listeners, Christian, will be cheering RDR on because obviously he's from the Netherlands. But I think I have to kind of go with the Tapology crowd on this one. Kai's Brow, he's the favourite with the bookies, minus 260 versus plus 215 for RDR. I would guess if you want to go like a distance, how long this fight's going to go, that's probably a good bet. I'm not a betting man, but I would guess that would be a good option to go. So I think this one is going to go to decision, and I think Brajo is going to do enough to win it. He has the better striking, I think, overall, and he's probably got his, as I've just said, his RDR isn't the greatest at getting people to the ground. Maybe he can land one of those jumping knees as Brajo's coming in for something. Who knows? He's obviously very good at those. I'm sure he'll be eager to come back with a good performance after the terrible performance against Allen, where he quit on his stool or the towel was thrown in, whatever the hell. So I'm sure he's going to come in hot after that. But equally, Kyle, I think he's going to want to win as well. So yeah, I think we're going to see a good fight. Probably, I don't think it's going to be fight of the night by any means, but yeah, I think we're going to go all 3 rounds and for a decision by Kyle Brajo for me.
I like it. I think it's smart. Smart decision to pick a smart fighter in Kyle Brajo. Yeah, let me slot myself in the middle. This really is kind of, I would have to say, maybe the best co-main event of this short Paramount era that we've had so far. This is really a high-level fight. This is 2 guys who are clearly at the upper echelon of middleweight. 2 guys who we could see challenging for a title within the very near future, despite both being entering off of a loss. Well-rounded skill sets, guys that can do a little bit of everything, guys that are potent in particular fields, that being primarily grappling between the 2 of them. But sound submission skills, pretty developed striking, even though RDR's is ugly and it doesn't look the most technical. It is effective. It's very DDP-esque in the essence that it's not going to jump off the page at you as how you would teach technique to your students if you were a coach, but it works for him. And he can crack. He can lay the leather. So long way of saying that I think these guys are both very equally matched. I think they're kind of different from the other fights that we've been discussing from this main card. These 2 are on very similar trajectories, and that trajectory is trending upward despite coming off those losses. So this is a very tough one to choose. I'm surprised that the odds weren't a little bit closer. I think that's maybe some recency bias and maybe them trying to drum up some money on RDR as an underdog, because I think he's capable in this fight. I think he's a live dog. He certainly is dangerous. So it kind of becomes a question for me of, do you go with the smart fighter who's probably going to have the better game plan, or do you go with the more of the wild card fighter who could pull something out of their bag that you don't see coming? Tough decision, but I didn't pick him this year in the fantasy draft. I did pick him last year in the fantasy draft. I think I'm going to select him again here. I'm going to go with brains over brawn. I'm going to go with the lead fighting nerd, the valedictorian of the fighting nerds. Give me Kyle Brajo. And since DangerMouse went decision, let me be weird here. I'm going to go a TKO. I'm going to go a TKO from Kyle Brajo. I'm going to say, what's stopping him from hitting RDR in the belly and getting a fucking body shot on him and laying in some ground and pound? Why not? It could happen. So give me Kyle by TKO.
That's fair. I like that.
Oh, we got some more people in the chat. We got lots of people popping up in the chat. Austin, we'll pass the mic to you. So let me hand this off to you. Like I was just saying, Kyle Bahio's got a big old brain, but he didn't really show it against Imavov. And RDR, he has a pea brain and he has a 2-gallon gas tank, but he's a big, dangerous monster. So tell us who takes it home and how they do it. And then also, give your prediction and whatnot in your selection, but answer this question from Rob Loria here. Who do you favor if this does go to the ground? Do you think that RDR has the better ground game, or do you think that Kaio's got the better ground game? Who's the better grappler?
Damn, that's a good question, because the way I kind of always looked at it is, I'll answer that question first. I've always looked at RDR, and I know I probably shouldn't say this because it sounds more demeaning than it does, out of respect. It's probably more closer aligned to who he is, a discount version of Luke Rockhold, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because he's tall for the division, he's very big. And then Luke Rockhold was tall and just kind of lanky for the division anyways, right? And both are grapplers with kickboxing. Now, Luke Rockhold had a much better kickboxing game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Very dangerous striker when he actually tried, but also had some deficiencies in his striking defense. His grappling was by far the most dominant if he ever found a way on top of you and just had his way with you like a goddamn alligator. Kind of like how Jacare used to do. But the other thing too is, like, if you look at RDR, like, he has this lankiness, this kind of goofiness, I think it's been described. But he also did fight 5 times in a year's time,
Yeah, that's something to factor in. Yep.
That's not, he probably ran out of not momentum, but just his body was just like, okay, dude, we cut a lot of weight to begin with. We're big for the division, and we can only do this so much and then take so much damage against some better fighters in this division. He kind of got away with it with Robert Whitaker, and that didn't hold up against, Brendan Allen. And that was the thing, is that Brendan Allen's kind of that dude. If you don't put him away right away or just put the fight on him, he doesn't go away, even if you're winning the fight, And he's had a scrappy career inside of middleweight himself. So that's kind of the thing where I'm looking at this as like, Kyle Braulio is I believe the younger fighter, correct? And he genuinely has had success against some of the other guys in this division that are hard to compete against. He finds himself usually trying to play his own game when he needs to, but he's not afraid of playing into the other guy's game when he wants to. Case in point, Jared Cannonier, right? He struck with that dude, and Gregory Hobocop Rodriguez struck with that dude. One of them won. One of them won. One of them did not. And I'm just saying, there's a point of contention too that comes to this, as a grappler. Kyle Braulio is more of a control guy who finds opportunities to get submissions, and he's more position over submission. Whereas RDR is more of submission over position, the old, Japanese style kind of. And I don't believe that's going to work against a guy who's consistently looking to keep up his grappling as Kyle Braulio does. But he also might want to just kind of keep it standing, which might benefit RDR in a weird way. So if you're going to ask me who the better grappler is, I'm going to say the one with the more tools is RDR. But that doesn't always mean you're the better grappler, right? So I'm going to say the more disciplined grappler is, or to the point, is going to be Kyle Braulio. And I'm going to pick Kyle Braulio in that sense because I think Kyle Braulio is going to stay disciplined. He's going to keep it safe. He's going to know how to kind of pull some of those triggers out of RDR to lull him into a bad fight and, maybe pop him in the face a handful of times. He's not going to get knocked out by RDR. I don't see that happening. I don't think he's going to get caught in a submission by RDR either. I think he's just going to pull him into a pretty dominant decision. And I think it's going to look more kind of like how Rosas Jr.'s fight is going to look like against Rob Font, in my opinion. And I don't think it's going to be a bad fight. I just think it's not going to be the most exciting fight. So Danger's probably going to have to watch 2 boring wrestling matches in this card.
Probably.
So I'm going to pick RDR. I'm sorry. I'm going to pick Kyle Borralio via decision, and because it's going to be 3 rounds, right, Lazy? Is it?
Yep.
Is it?
It's 3.
Okay, 3 rounds.
3 rounds.
Yeah, if it was 5, it'd be a different story because both of these men are coming off of a decent little layoff too. So you might get a refreshed RDR, and you might get a more cautious Kyle Borralio who might lose the fight because he lets the fight get taken from him because one man is actually pushing forward the entirety of the fight. I don't see that being the case. I just see that one man's going to kind of be cautious and take opportunities when he has to, not because he wants to. That's just going to be the way it is. At least that, from my perspective.
I like it. I think it's a good breakdown. I like everything we said there. Really, I think we're doing a solid bang-up job here tonight, especially for doing this so spur of the moment with me having just woke up from a nap. We are crushing it. We're killing it. And we've now got but one fight left to crush and kill, and it is our main event. It's time now, guys, for 2 of the baddest, meanest, nastiest, nicest, most fan-friendly and beloved fighters in the UFC who just so happen to be fighting for the BMF title. Oh, boy. It's your main event, and it all goes down when the cage door locks for the final time at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. A rematch more than a decade in the making, and this time around, there are bragging rights on the line. It's the number 4 ranked lightweight and current daddest motherfucker, Max Holloway, and the number 3 ranked bleach blonde bomber, Charles Oliveira. Maybe you don't need a rundown, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. Mad Max is 34 years young, and despite having delivered and absorbed more significant strikes than anyone in UFC history by a landslide, he continues competing at the highest level. Sitting at 4-1 in his last 5, he's put together a Hall of Fame-worthy career, including his last win over a retiring Dustin Poirier this past June. Charlie Olives, otherwise known as Charles Oliveira, is a ripe and ready 36 who comes in 3-2 in his last 5, including the latest decision dub over Mateusz Gamrot last October. The well-groomed, undersized Georgian elephant in the room. Both these boys were conked unconscious by Ilia Topuria when they took their latest losses. So that's something to consider in this one. Bit of a strange circumstance if we'd like Topuria or not. So, Austin, you're up first. I have a feeling that if you were a BMF, I think it would stand for Beer Maiden Fondler or maybe Big Malt Frother. I don't know, but something like that. But you're not the BMF. These guys are. 2 men we love, 2 future Hall of Famers. What do you think happens in the main event?
That's tough to say, man, because I got a feeling it's going to be a war of attrition. I think Charles and Max might just kind of similar to like what happened with Dustin and Max, where Max is probably going to find himself probably in a tougher fight than he expects, and I'm going to see the last push from Oliveira to kind of just pull the fight that he has left in his career at the elite level against Max Holloway. Like, he's going to pull out all the stops. He's going to go from the Do Bronx that we remember coming up through the lightweight division when he was just getting finishes left, right, and center and just, burning a fucking tremendous path to the title, right? And there's that Charles that showed up against Mateusz Gamrot, right? And I felt there was some hesitation in the fan base of wondering what we were going to see coming out of him. And there's that horror as a fan of seeing a beloved fighter just go out, especially just coming off of a KO loss and it being worse the second time that you see it in a row. Charles Oliveira is no stranger to being finished, or being knocked out. But that resurgence of him just finding this secondary life after being a champion, he's kind of been in there, with some of the best lightweights in the world, and he's proven to be a genuine article of a dude too, and that's not easy to find, especially in really good competitive fighters. I think he's going to find himself in a really tough fight against Max, and I think Max is going to find himself in a very tough fight against a former champion at lightweight as well. It's going to go to the distance. I think Max is going to pull out a split decision, and the reason being is because if you looked at the Charles that was there against Mateus Gamera, and you looked at the fight that Dustin Poirier had with Max, those weren't the best versions that fought, but they were coming off of some good performances. I mean, hell, Dustin Poirier before that was literally coming off of a fight, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, Lazy. Did he didn't come off of fighting Islam, did he? Or was that previously not the thing?
You talking about Poirier?
Yeah.
Poirier, but leading into the fight with Max, he was coming off of the Islam Darce choke loss.
Thank you. Yeah, and that was probably the best performance from Poirier's career in a losing effort. Right? He pushed one of the pound for pound best fighters in the world at lightweight to the brink. And he fucking did more damage to him than I don't think any other fighter has ever done, except for being I forget his name, but he was able to get a finish on him. But in Volk. But that's the thing is he probably got just as good of a version of that, and I think Charles is going to find himself pushing the pace against Max, and it's not that Max isn't going to find himself in a tough fight and not know how to adjust. He's just going to find himself in a tough fight because this is lightweight, and him being lightweight later into his career, he's looked good, he's looked dangerous, he's looked durable as all hell, right? But this is lightweight. They're all going to find a way to just beat the shit out of each other, and I think it's going to go to the cards. Is going to be a split decision for Max, but damn, is it going to be a good competitive fight at least?
You got me hyped up there. You might be one of the few people I've heard that say this is going to be a really competitive fight, and I hope it is. For our sake, for the viewers' sake, I hope it goes 5 rounds, and I hope it's a fucking back and forth war. I really do. I really do.
It would be a detriment if it wasn't, because if it's a one-sided landslide, I think it hurts both of them, in a title contention situation. But at the same time, I'd also want a good fight that I would hope that they have pillows wrapped around each other just so none of them get hurt. But so it's a tough sport, so you gotta kind of take it what it is.
That's really why I was saying what I was saying in the intro, because it's so strange that you have two of the guys that are probably the friendliest, most easygoing, probably the guys that you would most want to run into in an airport, go up to and ask for an autograph. I can't see Charles or Max being a dick and be like, no, get the fuck out of here, kid. No, these are the nice guys. These are the nice guys of MMA, and charitable, all these different things. But they're fighting for the fucking BMF title, and they really are. When the cage door locks, these are two of the baddest motherfuckers that are out there. They're going to go for it. They're not going to back down. It's going to be a scrap. That's a guarantee. Oh, shout out. Look who's in the house. It's Dennis from Sub Radio. What's going on, Dennis? What's happening, player? Good to see you, man.
Nice.
And we're going to let you go. Dennis. Yeah, great show. So Sub Radio, great show. Check it out. We're gonna go to you, DangerMouse. But first, I did see something in the chat that I would like to pose to Austin real quick. And this is kind of an interesting thought. This is coming from Dingo here. Austin, should Charles retire if he loses?
Depending on the loss. If he gets, like I said, if it's a one-sided ass whooping, yeah, probably. If it's competitive and close, he could probably ride out the rest of his contract to beating the rest of the division. Who I don't believe there's a even Patty, right? I could see him beating majority of the top 10 and even most of the top 15. It's just the top elite guys. He might Arman Tsarukyan, Ilia Topuria. He has a win over Justin Gaethje right now, who's going to be fighting Ilia Topuria apparently. He has a victory over most of them. Should he? That's up to him. I'm not going to tell him to retire if he feels like he can compete and he shows that he can compete, especially if he looks decent against Max. If it looks like he just can't get out of first gear and he's just getting mollywopped from pillar to post in the first couple of rounds and just can't get out of it, then yeah, he definitely needs to retire.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because you're looking at one of the guys in Charles Oliveira, who is literally like, I would say top 5 biggest draws maybe in the company. Like, he's a huge fucking star to the point that we don't even really quite realize how much he crosses over in that market down there in Brazil and in South America. Like, he's a monstrous star, and he packs out those arenas. The people go crazy for him. So despite, he is 36 years old now, has obviously had 35 plus 36 fights in the UFC alone. So long tenured career, a lot of wear and tear on the tires. But I kind of see Charles being one of those guys that doesn't retire until he's like 40. Like, he's always going to be dangerous. He's always going to be a threat. Like, even at 40 years old, what's stopping him from throwing up a submission on you and getting you out of there? Like, even as a young contender. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But what's also going to be interesting is to get DangerMouse's prediction, his last prediction of the night. DM, we got the patented point and swing guy in Max Holloway against the most dangerous submission artist in MMA, arguably, at least in the UFC, historically. So we know what Max wants to do. We know what Charles prefers. So how does this BMF main event shake out? Let's hear it.
Well, as long as Charles sticks to the spirit of the BMF, this should be a striking match. It should not be a grappling match. Although Max, I believe, has kind of, I don't know if he's even joking, just said that the baddest thing he could ever do would be to choke out, submit Charles Oliveira, which would kind of be a BMF moment. Choking out the greatest submission artist in the UFC. As we were talking about before the show started, I do have Max in the fantasy league that I'm also in. And I'm kind of relying on him to get me back into the contention in that league with a win in this one. And fortunately for me, he's the favorite. He's a minus 200 favorite versus plus 160 for Charles. This is also it is a belt. So that 35-year, I know that 35-year stat has been broken a few times, but it kind of still holds for the most part. So I'm going to play on this one anyway. It suits my argument. So, like any good academic, I'm going to seize the bits that appeal to me. I'm going to ignore the fact that Charles has a 5-inch reach advantage, because everyone knows that Max has Tyrannosaurus Rex arms. Sorry, Max, it's just true. But fortunately, also the Tapology crew also agree with me. They've got Max at 71% versus Oliveira at 29%, obviously. So let me a quick look what I bring up the last page. Did I see anything on the stats I wanted to bring up? Now, both orthodox fighters. Max obviously lands a ridiculous number of strikes, 7.2 versus absorbing 4.7. I know that's taken a lot, but Jesus Christ, that man can punch. Whereas Charles barely manages a positive striking differential. Not the greatest of takedowns, but as I've said, this should not be a grappling match. But I will say that Oliveira gets dropped a lot, and there's been a few times where he's, I think Gaethje dropped him and just backed off because he didn't want to step down and risk getting caught up in Oliveira's guard. And I don't think Holloway will give a damn. If he drops him, he's going to be down there hammering him with bottom fists or 12-6 elbows or whatever he needs to do to get the fight finished. So unlike Austin, I'm not 100% confident on this, but I'll give it the same chance as Max winning 71%. I think it's about 70% chance that he gets this done in the 3rd or 4th round by TKO.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a possibility. I think that a lot of people actually go ahead.
Yeah, fair. No, I was just gonna say that's fair because he of the two that's been finished, one of them has been finished a lot more. So that's a fair take.
Yeah, the majority of people that I've heard handicap and break down this fight leading up to it have kind of had that same sort of feeling that Max is probably more than likely going to get Charles out of there. And I don't know if that's a reflection of maybe his past history, the days of yore when it comes to Charles, where there was a point in time when this guy was, he was kind of looked at as a pushover. He was kind of looked at as a guy that if you showed him the door, he would be more than willing to take it. If you gave him an opportunity to take the exit,
he would gladly get up and go. Now, during his championship run, he changed that narrative a lot. He changed the way he fought. He changed his own personality and character, and that's when he became this megastar that he is now. But there's a couple of things that became staples of his game that I think are really going to play right into Max's hand in this fight. One of them being Charles Oliveira has a very patented, almost Sean Strickland-esque march forward. He likes to march forward like a soldier, pulling his knees up, doing his Muay Thai stances, and trying to like come forward in a straight line motion like a juggernaut. And I don't know that that's the right game plan against a Max Holloway. A Max Holloway who is shown to have good footwork, has shown the ability to cut angles. If anyone can do it, it is a Max. And I think that that's going to kind of play right into Holloway's hand here. Another thing is, when you look at the numbers, like you were kind of pointing out, DangerMouse, and I believe I got this from Uncle Weezy and Brady from Stat Diggers last night. The amount of time that Max Holloway spends at distance striking, it's something like 87% of the time he has spent in the UFC octagon has been spent at distance striking. So he doesn't get into grappling scenarios. He doesn't clinch. He doesn't go to the ground. He doesn't find himself in guys' guards. That's not how Max Holloway fights play out. And that's certainly not how a Max Holloway BMF fight is going to play out. I think this thing is going to go down on the feet. I think that while both these guys have been chinned, sadly, in recent times by Ilia Topuria, I think that Charles's chin is just a little bit more damaged, a little bit more cracked than Max's. We've seen the holes just now starting to develop in Max's chin. The long thought, uncrackable Max Holloway durability. It took a hit against Topuria. Then we seen him kind of get wobbled in the fight with Dustin. So, maybe we're starting to kind of see that chin start to dwindle, but I think there's more than enough left there to absorb what Oliveira is going to throw at him. I think he's going to be smart enough to not get into those grappling scenarios. And I think he's going to have enough pop up at 155 to put a hurting on Charles Oliveira. I think he's going to get Chucky Olives out of there. I'll say within 3. So let's go Max Holloway, TKO within 3 rounds.
I don't know why, but I just for some reason Yair Rodriguez versus Max Holloway is playing in my mind in this fight, and it's not because I think Yair Rodriguez was just gonna run over Max previously to that fight starting. I just see Oliveira kind of pulling out all the stops, and if there's anybody who's still got a little bit left in the tank, it's Charles. So that's all. You know what I mean? I just see a scenario where Charles is just going to empty the gas tank, whatever it is, and maybe to that, to some of the viewers' points, he just might just retire after this fight. So he says, "Fuck it, if I'm going to lose, I'm going to go out of my own. I'm going to go out of my own terms," But I still believe Max is going to take it. And that's why I still think it's going to go to a decision. It might be a goddamn close one too. So split decision still for me.
I just hope, and this is, my last thing I'll say about this fight is I hope that both these guys are getting very, very well compensated for this fight. I'm sure their base pay and show and win money is probably pretty good at this point in their careers. They've been around forever, done all the things they've done, but I hope they're getting really well compensated for this because we don't got too many dances with these dudes left. Like, we're getting to the end of a lot of guys' careers in a variety of divisions. And these are household names. These are guys that we're going to remember for however much longer we're fans of this sport for the rest of our lives. So I just hope that they're getting their just due. I hope that they're being compensated. So they're probably not.
They'll probably get $100,000 at the end of the night anyway. So it's almost guaranteed that it's going to be a fight of the night, or some performance bonus at any rate. Although maybe Charles won't get it. Who knows? It might just be a KO of the night or whatever.
How about this? Let's wrap on this here, guys. We'll do a yes or no from each of us.
Does this from Rob Loria here? Does this main event being such a banger make up for the lack of the rest of the card? And being in Canada, this is still a pay-per-view for him. So I'm sorry to hear that, Rob, that you still have to pay
Oh,
for
that's
this.
fucked.
But what do you guys think? Does this banger BMF title fight, does it make up for the rest of the card kind of sucking?
You want to answer first, Mouse?
I'm not so sure. I mean, I guess the rest of the card isn't outstanding by any means, but we've been talking about it, and there are some intriguing fights on it. Rodriguez versus Ferreira. That has potential to go either way, I guess. We couldn't entirely agree on it. And then Dober versus Michael Johnson. That's going to be a fun one. I think that will be a fun fight, whatever happens. And as you said, yeah, the main event is very good. It's not the best UFC card I've ever seen by any means, at least not on paper. But we will see by the end of the night what happens. It could, you never know. It could be the best card of the year. It could be the worst card of the year. Although I doubt that with Max of the year.
A very Dana White answer. How can it be the worst card ever? You haven't even seen it yet.
Yeah. I'm still laughing at Bevo there saying that I'm waiting for Charles to point to the ground, then lay on his back.
That'd be funny. That'd be a good little moment to have.
Nick Diaz has already done that, so you know.
Yeah, that's true. What do you think, Austin, about this question here? Do you think that this main event for the BMF title, this rematch, does it make up for the lackluster rest of the card?
You know what, man? The way you can judge that is if you were still willing to pay nearly, what was it, $80, right?
Mm-hmm.
By itself just for the main event. If that's the case, then yeah, who gives a shit, right?
Yeah. My answer would be a big fat fucking no, because there would not be a chance in hell I'd be paying $80 just for this fucking fight. No,
I'm just saying, I definitely do it because I am that much of a degenerate, and on the top of that, I would probably just be like, yeah, I don't give a shit. I'll fucking watch it. I'll fucking piss off the wife just to watch it on the day I'm not supposed to be, you know. But yeah, no, 100%, dude. If you can look at this fight and be like, I don't care what the rest of the card is. That's the only thing that matters to me. I don't need to watch the rest of it. By that version, yeah, especially if you have to pay extra for it. So, you know, thankfully, we don't have to, but technically we still technically have to, you know, but, you know, there's other versions, there's other places, there's other things you could do if you have to, you know, go, you know, sailing in a certain sea. Sometimes it's available. Some of us know about that and some of us don't. If you don't, you don't know. Yeah.
It's fair. There's no UFC fan who doesn't want to see this fight. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
That is true. Yeah. But I don't know if it's enough to carry a whole card. It seems pretty top heavy. But luckily we have UFC 327 around the corner down in Miami, a very, very stacked card from top to bottom. That's going to be a really fun one. Can't wait for that.
I'm waiting for London.
I swear to God, Lazy, if you give this another mediocre fucking score at the end of it.
Let's just hope that the main event delivers. So let's keep our fingers crossed. It should. I think it will.
Oh, it'll deliver one way or another. That's for sure.
All right, guys. Well, I think we've gone on for just about long enough. So we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Bleeders, we came, we saw, we rambled on for far too long. And now my bong is all but gone. But soon the fights will be upon us. So long as bombs don't rain down on us. Pew, bang, 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 pew. We're getting the fuck out of here. Weekend Roundup, Mondays, 7 p.m. Eastern. Be there or be square. We're out of here. Say goodbye, guys.
Bye, guys. Thanks everyone who turned up in chat. Thank you, guys.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
We did it. Yeah.
Yeah. See you later. We're out of here. Bye.